The power of silence. A complete journey. Every single moment of your life, you're surrounded by noise, chaos, and endless distractions pulling you in 1,000 different directions. But what if I told you that within you, right now, there exists a power so profound, so transformative, that it can completely reshape your reality, heal your deepest wounds, and connect you to an infinite source of wisdom and strength? This power isn't found in the external world, in achievement or recognition, in the accumulation of things or the validation of others. No, this power lives in the most unexpected place, a place most people overlook their entire lives. It lives in silence. And today, we're going to explore how Horatio W. Dresser's groundbreaking work, The Power of Silence, reveals the secrets to unlocking this extraordinary force within you. Picture yourself standing at the edge of your own consciousness, looking inward rather than outward for the first time in your life. This isn't just another self-help philosophy. This is a complete transformation of how you understand yourself, your mind, and your connection to the universal intelligence that flows through all things. Dresser wasn't just a writer. He was a pioneer of the New Thought movement, a spiritual explorer who understood that the answers we seek aren't found in the noise of the world, but in the profound depths of inner stillness. Let's begin this journey together, and I promise you, by the time we reach the end, you'll never look at silence, at your inner world, at your potential, the same way again. The foundation of Dresser's philosophy rests on a simple yet revolutionary premise. Within every human being exists a divine presence, an infinite intelligence, a spiritual essence that connects us to the very source of creation itself. This isn't just poetic language. This is the fundamental truth of your existence. You are not merely a physical body stumbling through life, reacting to circumstances at the mercy of external forces. You are a spiritual being, intimately connected to an unlimited power that can guide you, heal you, and transform every aspect of your existence. But here's the challenge. Here's why so many people live their entire lives never accessing this power. We've been conditioned to look outward. From the moment we're born, we're taught to seek answers in the external world. We're told that happiness comes from achievement, that peace comes from favorable circumstances, that our worth is determined by what others think of us. We fill every moment with noise, with activity, with distraction. We're afraid of silence because we've forgotten what lives within it. Dresser understood this predicament deeply. He recognized that modern civilization, with all its advancements and complexities, had created a fundamental disconnection between people and their inner spiritual nature. We've become strangers to ourselves, constantly running, constantly seeking, constantly trying to fill an emptiness that can only be filled from within. The practice of silence, as Dresser presents it, is not simply about stopping noise or sitting quietly for a few minutes. This is a profound spiritual discipline, a deliberate and conscious turning inward to connect with the divine intelligence that resides at the core of your being. When you enter true silence, you're not escaping the world. You're entering the source of all power, all wisdom, all healing. You're coming home to yourself. Think about how you typically spend your days. Your mind is constantly racing, jumping from thought to thought, worry to worry, plan to plan. You're replaying past events, analyzing conversations, rehearsing future scenarios, judging yourself and others, creating elaborate stories about what everything means. This constant mental chatter isn't just exhausting, it's blocking you from accessing the deeper intelligence within you. It's like trying to see your reflection in a lake during a storm. The surface is too disturbed, too chaotic, to reveal the truth beneath. Silence, true inner silence, calms the storm. It allows the surface of your consciousness to become still, clear, reflective. And in that stillness, something extraordinary happens. You begin to perceive reality differently. You start to recognize thoughts as temporary visitors rather than absolute truths. You notice the space between thoughts, the awareness that observes everything without being caught up in anything. You discover that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your circumstances. You are the conscious presence that witnesses all of these things. This discovery is life-changing, because once you recognize this truth, once you experience yourself as this witnessing presence, you realize that you have a choice. You don't have to believe every thought that crosses your mind. You don't have to be swept away by every emotion that arises. You don't have to react automatically to every external circumstance. You have access to a deeper wisdom, a calm center, an unshakable foundation that remains constant, regardless of what's happening around you. Dresser emphasizes that this practice of silence isn't about forcing the mind to be quiet through sheer willpower. That approach typically backfires, creating more tension and resistance. Instead, it's about gently turning your attention inward, allowing yourself to rest in the present moment, to simply be without doing, without analyzing, without trying to fix or change anything. It's about creating space for the divine intelligence within you to emerge naturally. When you practice this kind of silence regularly, something remarkable begins to happen in your life. Problems that seemed insurmountable start to resolve themselves. Solutions appear seemingly out of nowhere. You find yourself responding to challenges with a wisdom and calm you didn't know you possessed. Relationships improve because you're no longer reacting from old patterns and wounds, but responding from a place of clarity and presence. Your health improves because stress and anxiety lose their grip on you. Your creativity flourishes because you're accessing deeper levels of inspiration. Your sense of purpose becomes clearer because you're finally hearing the quiet voice of your true self beneath all the noise. This isn't magic, though it might feel magical. This is simply what happens when you align yourself with the natural intelligence of life. When you stop fighting against the current and learn to flow with it, When you stop trying to control everything through your limited personal will and start collaborating with the infinite wisdom available to you. The concept of divine intelligence is central to Dresser's teachings. He's not asking you to believe in something external to yourself, some distant deity sitting on a throne judging your every move. He's inviting you to recognize the intelligence that already animates your existence. Think about it. Right now, without any conscious effort from you, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, your cells are regenerating, your body is performing millions of complex operations. There's an intelligence orchestrating all of this. An intelligence far beyond what your conscious mind could manage. This same intelligence, Dresser argues, is available to guide every aspect of your life if you learn to listen to it. But you can't hear it when your mind is filled with noise, when you're constantly planning and worrying and analyzing. You can only access it in silence, in stillness, in the present moment. Many people resist this teaching because they believe that if they stop constantly thinking and planning and controlling, everything will fall apart. They've been trained to believe that their personal effort, their constant vigilance, their endless mental activity is what keeps their life together. But this is exhausting, isn't it? And if you're honest with yourself, despite all that effort, despite all that control, life still brings challenges and surprises and changes you can't prevent. What Dresser offers is a different way, a way that doesn't require less of you, but actually brings out more of your true potential. When you connect with the divine intelligence within you, when you allow yourself to be guided by this deeper wisdom, you don't become passive or helpless. Instead, you become more effective, more creative, more responsive to life's opportunities. You act from inspiration rather than desperation, from clarity rather than confusion, from power rather than fear. The practice of entering silence also transforms your relationship with time. Most people are never truly present. They are either dwelling in the past, replaying old memories, old hurts, old stories about who they are and what they can't do, or they're projecting into the future, worrying about what might happen, planning for scenarios that may never occur, anxious about outcomes they can't control. This constant mental time travel creates immense suffering because you're never fully here, never fully alive to the only moment that actually exists now. In silence, you discover the eternal present moment. You realize that this moment, right now, is the only moment you ever truly have. The past is gone, existing only as memory. The future hasn't arrived, existing only as imagination. All your power, all your life, all your opportunity exists in this present moment. When you're fully present, fully here, fully alive to what is, everything changes. You stop missing your life while lost in thought. You stop creating suffering through your stories about past and future. You start experiencing the richness, the depth, the beauty that exists right here, right now. This present moment awareness also opens you to gratitude. And gratitude is one of the most powerful transformative forces available to you. When you're lost in thought, worried about the future, or resentful about the past, gratitude is impossible. But when you're present, when you're connected to the silence within, you naturally begin to notice the countless blessings that surround you. You notice the miracle of your breath, the gift of your senses, the beauty in ordinary moments. And this gratitude creates a positive spiral, attracting more good into your life, opening your heart, expanding your consciousness. Dresser also addresses the relationship between silence and health. And this is particularly relevant in our modern world where stress-related illness has become epidemic. Medical science now confirms what spiritual teachers have always known. The mind and body are intimately connected. Your thoughts, your emotions, your mental states directly affect your physical health. Chronic stress, anxiety, negative thinking. These mental patterns create chemical and hormonal changes in your body that suppress immune function, increase inflammation, accelerate aging, and contribute to virtually every major disease. When you practice silence, when you learn to calm your mind and connect with your inner peace, you're not just improving your mental state, you are directly benefiting your physical health. Your nervous system shifts from the stressed, reactive state of fight or flight to the calm, healing state of rest and digest. Your body's natural healing mechanisms activate. Inflammation decreases. Immune function improves. Pain levels often reduce. Sleep quality increases. Energy returns. The benefits are measurable, real, and profound. But Dresser goes deeper than just stress reduction. He understood that many physical ailments have spiritual and emotional roots. Unresolved emotions, negative thought patterns, disconnection from your true self. These inner conditions can manifest as physical symptoms. By entering silence and connecting with the healing power within you, by addressing the spiritual and emotional dimensions of health, you can sometimes experience healing that seems miraculous from a conventional perspective. This doesn't mean you should ignore medical care or refuse treatment. Dresser wasn't anti-medicine. He was pro-wholeness. He recognized that true healing addresses the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. Silence and inner connection enhance and complement whatever other healing approaches you pursue. They address the dimension that conventional medicine often overlooks, your spiritual nature and its profound influence on every aspect of your being. The power of thought is another crucial element in Dresser's philosophy. He recognized, long before modern neuroscience confirmed it, that your thoughts are not neutral, passive observations of reality. Your thoughts actively shape your experience, your perception, your health, your circumstances. What you consistently think about, what you focus your attention on, what you believe to be true about yourself and your life. These mental patterns create your reality. This isn't mystical nonsense, it's how consciousness works. Your brain is constantly filtering the overwhelming amount of information available to you, deciding what to notice and what to ignore based on your existing beliefs and expectations. You literally see what you expect to see, notice what you're focused on, and overlook everything else. If you believe life is hard and people can't be trusted, you'll notice every bit of evidence supporting that belief and miss all the evidence contradicting it. If you believe opportunities surround you and good things are coming your way, you'll start noticing possibilities you were blind to before. In silence, you become aware of your thought patterns. You start to see how much of your thinking is repetitive, negative, based on old programming rather than current reality. And this awareness gives you power. You can begin to choose different thoughts, focus your attention differently, create new beliefs that serve you rather than limit you. This isn't about forcing positive thinking or denying reality. It's about recognizing that you have more influence over your mental state than you realized. Dresser teaches that as you deepen your practice of silence and strengthen your connection to divine intelligence, your thoughts naturally become more aligned with truth. You stop being dominated by fear-based thinking, by the ego's constant need to defend and prove and control. Instead, your thoughts arise from wisdom, from love, from creative intelligence. Your mind becomes a tool for expressing your higher nature rather than a prison of limitation. The transformation of desire is another profound aspect of this work. Most people are driven by desires that come from their conditioned self, their ego, their sense of lack. They want more money because they feel insecure. They want recognition because they doubt their worth. They want relationships because they feel incomplete. These desires, arising from a sense of separation and inadequacy, can never truly satisfy. You might achieve what you thought you wanted, only to find the fulfillment was temporary. The emptiness remains. In silence, you begin to distinguish between ego-based desires and soul-level aspirations. Ego wants to acquire, to possess, to prove something. Soul wants to express, to create, to contribute. Ego operates from fear and lack. Soul operates from love and abundance. When you connect with your deeper self in silence, your desires transform. You start wanting what truly matters, what genuinely fulfills, what allows you to express your authentic nature. This doesn't mean you stop wanting things or stop setting goals. It means your wanting comes from a different place, a place of wholeness rather than lack. And paradoxically, when you operate from this place, when you're already complete within yourself, you tend to attract and manifest what you desire much more easily. You're no longer desperately grasping. You're openly receiving. You're not trying to fill a void. You're allowing abundance to flow through you. Dresser also addresses the transformation of relationships through silence. Most relationship problems stem from two people operating from their conditioned selves, their wounded inner children. They're defensive ego strategies. They're not truly meeting each other. They're playing out old patterns, trying to get needs met, reacting to triggers, defending against perceived threats. This creates cycles of conflict, misunderstanding, hurt, and disappointment. When you practice silence and connect with your true self, you become available for genuine relationship. You're not projecting your past onto the present. You're not trying to change or control the other person. You're not taking everything personally. Instead, you can meet people where they are, see them clearly, respond to who they actually are, rather than who you fear or wish them to be. You can listen deeply because you're not lost in your own mental commentary. You can love more freely because you're not operating from a sense of lack. This transformation affects all your relationships, intimate partnerships, friendships, family connections, professional relationships. As you become more present, more centered, more aligned with your true nature, people naturally respond differently to you. Some relationships deepen and flourish. Others naturally fall away because they were based on old patterns that no longer serve you. New relationships enter your life that reflect your expanded consciousness. The practice of silence also awakens creativity. True creativity doesn't come from the thinking mind, from the level of analysis and logic and planning. That level can organize and structure ideas, but the ideas themselves, the inspiration, the original insight, these arise from a deeper place. They emerge from the silence, from the space beyond thought, from your connection to universal intelligence. Artists, writers, musicians, inventors, anyone who creates something original will tell you that their best ideas don't come from trying hard to think them up. They come in moments of relaxation, in the shower, on a walk, upon waking, in those times when the mind is quiet and something deeper can emerge. By cultivating silence as a regular practice, you open yourself to this creative flow consistently. You become a channel for inspiration rather than someone struggling to force ideas into existence. This applies whether you consider yourself a creative person or not. Everyone is creative. Everyone has unique gifts and insights to offer. But most people never access their creative potential because their minds are too busy, too cluttered, too dominated by conventional thinking. Silence clears the space for your unique perspective, your authentic voice, your original contribution to emerge. Fear is perhaps the greatest obstacle to living fully, and Dresser addresses this extensively. Fear keeps you small, keeps you stuck, keeps you from pursuing what truly calls to you. Fear makes you settle for less than you deserve, tolerate situations that harm you, hold back from expressing your truth. And most fear isn't even about real present danger. It's about imagined future scenarios, about what might happen, about how others might judge you, about failing or being hurt, or losing what you have. In silence, you discover the groundless nature of most fear. When you're truly present, when you're connected to the peace within you, when you're not projecting into an imagined future, fear loses its power. You realize that right now, in this actual moment, you're okay, you're breathing, you're alive, you're here. The catastrophes you worry about exist only in thought, and thought cannot harm you unless you believe it absolutely. This doesn't mean you become reckless or stop taking reasonable precautions. It means you stop being paralyzed by fear. Stop letting anxiety dictate your choices. Stop living a limited life because you're afraid of what might happen. You find courage not because you're no longer afraid, but because you've discovered something stronger than fear within you. A deep knowing that you're fundamentally okay regardless of circumstances, that you're connected to something larger than your small, separate self. The principle of surrender is challenging for many people because it's often misunderstood. Surrender doesn't mean giving up, becoming passive, tolerating harm, or abandoning your goals. True surrender, as Dresser teaches it, means releasing your attachment to specific outcomes, your need to control how and when things happen, your insistence that life conform to your limited understanding of how things should be. When you practice silence and connect with divine intelligence, you begin to trust that there's a wisdom at work in your life that exceeds your personal understanding. You recognize that your conscious mind, for all its cleverness, sees only a tiny fraction of reality. You can't know all the factors at play, can't predict all the consequences of your choices, can't force outcomes through sheer will without creating unintended problems. Surrender means doing your best, taking inspired action, making conscious choices, and then releasing the results to the larger intelligence that orchestrates all things. It means staying open to outcomes that might be different from or even better than what you imagined. It means trusting the process even when you can't see the destination, having faith even when circumstances look challenging. This surrender paradoxically gives you more power, not less, because you're no longer wasting energy in resistance, in trying to force things, in anxious control. You're working with life rather than against it, allowing the natural flow rather than constantly struggling upstream. And in this alignment, things often work out better than you could have planned. Opportunities appear that you never imagined. Solutions emerge that your limited perspective couldn't have conceived. The concept of oneness is foundational to everything Dresser teaches. At the deepest level, separation is an illusion. You appear to be a separate individual, isolated from others, cut off from nature, divided from the divine. But this appearance is like waves believing they're separate from the ocean. In truth, you're an expression of the one universal life, the one infinite consciousness that takes infinite forms. You're intimately connected to everything and everyone, part of an indivisible whole. Most people live their entire lives trapped in the illusion of separation, and this creates immense suffering. When you believe you're separate, you feel fundamentally alone, fundamentally threatened by a hostile world, fundamentally in competition with others for limited resources. You build walls around yourself, protect your interests, try to get your piece of the pie before someone else takes it. You feel isolated in your struggles, convinced that no one understands, that you have to face everything alone. In silence, you can experience the truth of oneness directly, not as a concept to believe in, but as a lived reality. You feel your connection to all life. You recognize yourself in others. You sense the underlying unity beneath surface differences. And this experience transforms everything. Loneliness becomes impossible when you know yourself as connected to all that is. Fear diminishes when you recognize that harming another is ultimately harming yourself, that serving others is serving your own deeper self. Compassion arises naturally when you see beyond the illusion of separation. This understanding also revolutionizes how you think about your purpose. From the separated ego perspective, purpose is about personal achievement, about making your mark, about proving your worth. But from the perspective of oneness, purpose is about how you can serve, how you can contribute, how you can allow the divine intelligence to express itself through you in a way that benefits the whole. Your unique gifts, your particular circumstances, your specific experiences, all of these are resources through which universal love and wisdom can flow into the world. The practice of affirmation is a practical tool Dresser offers for reprogramming your subconscious mind. Your subconscious holds all your beliefs, patterns, and conditioning, most of which were installed before you had the ability to consciously choose them. These deep patterns run automatically, creating your default responses, your habitual thoughts, your typical emotional states. If you want to change your life, you must change these deep patterns, and affirmation is one powerful way to do this. But Dresser's approach to affirmation is different from simple positive thinking. He emphasizes that affirmations must be done in silence, in a state of connection with your deeper self, with feeling and conviction rather than mere repetition. When you affirm something like, "I am connected to infinite wisdom," or "Divine intelligence guides my steps," or "I am worthy of love and abundance," you're not trying to convince yourself of something you don't believe. You're reminding yourself of a deeper truth, calling forth from within you the reality that's already there but has been obscured by false beliefs. The key is repetition in a receptive state. You enter silence, connect with your inner peace, and then gently introduce the affirmation, feeling its truth, allowing it to sink into your subconscious. Over time, with consistent practice, these new patterns begin to replace the old limiting beliefs. Your default mental state shifts. What once required effort becomes natural. The truth you affirmed begins to manifest in your experience. Dresser also discusses the importance of visualization, but again, with a crucial difference from how it's often taught. Visualization isn't about desperately trying to force reality to conform to your desires. It's about using the power of imagination to align yourself with what you want to create. to feel it as already real, to open yourself to receiving it. When done in silence, in a state of connection with divine intelligence, visualization becomes a form of co-creation, a partnership between your conscious intention and universal wisdom. The healing power of forgiveness is another essential teaching. Most people carry wounds from the past, resentments, grudges, judgments against others and themselves. These emotional burdens weigh you down, color your perception, limit your present, keep you tethered to old pain. As long as you hold on to unforgiveness, you remain imprisoned by the past, unable to move forward fully, unable to be present to life's current gifts. In silence, you can begin the work of forgiveness, not because people deserve it, not because what happened was okay, but because holding on to resentment hurts you more than anyone else. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or condoning or returning to harmful situations. It means releasing the emotional charge, letting go of the need for revenge or vindication, accepting what was, and choosing to no longer let it define your present. This is often difficult work, especially for deep wounds, and it's okay to be gentle with yourself in the process. But as you practice silence and connect with the love and peace within you, forgiveness becomes possible. You begin to see that hurt people, that everyone is doing the best they can with their level of consciousness, that holding on to pain doesn't change the past, but does damage your present. And gradually, sometimes in sudden moments of grace, you find yourself able to release what you've been carrying, and the relief is profound. Self-forgiveness is equally important. Most people are far harsher on themselves than they would ever be with a friend. You judge yourself for mistakes, berate yourself for perceived failures, maintain a constant, critical inner dialogue that erodes your confidence and joy. This self-judgment accomplishes nothing positive. It doesn't make you better, doesn't prevent future mistakes, doesn't serve you in any way. It only creates suffering. In silence, you can meet yourself with compassion, recognize your humanity, acknowledge that you've always done the best you could with the awareness you had. You can see your mistakes as learning opportunities rather than evidence of your unworthiness. You can choose to treat yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and encouragement you would offer someone you love. And this shift in how you relate to yourself changes everything. The question of suffering is one humans have grappled with forever. Why do bad things happen? Why is there pain? How can a loving universe allow suffering? Dresser addresses this, not with theological arguments, but with practical spiritual wisdom. He acknowledges that suffering is real, that pain is part of the human experience. But he also teaches that much of our suffering is optional, created by our resistance to what is, by our stories about what things mean, by our disconnection from our spiritual nature. When you're identified with your small separate self, when you're cut off from the peace within, When you're believing all your thoughts and caught up in your emotional reactions, suffering is inevitable. You suffer because you want reality to be different than it is. You suffer because you think things shouldn't be this way. You suffer because you're fighting against what you cannot change. But in silence, you discover a different relationship with difficulty. You can experience pain, loss, challenge, without adding layers of mental suffering on top of it. You can face what is without resistance, without making it mean something terrible about you or your life. You can find peace even in the midst of challenge, because peace isn't dependent on circumstances. It's your essential nature, always available within you. This doesn't make you passive in the face of difficulty. Quite the opposite. When you're not overwhelmed by resistance and mental suffering, you're actually more capable of taking effective action, of responding wisely to challenges, of finding solutions. You're not wasting energy fighting reality. You're working with what is to create what's possible. The practice of meditation, while related to silence, has its own specific role in Dresser's teaching. Meditation is the deliberate practice of turning inward, of sitting in silence, of training your attention, of cultivating your connection to the divine presence within. While silence can be practiced throughout your day, meditation is dedicated time set aside specifically for this inner work. Dresser encourages establishing a regular meditation practice, starting even with just a few minutes daily and gradually increasing as it becomes more comfortable. The specific technique matters less than the sincere intention to connect with your deeper self. You might focus on your breath, repeat a sacred word, rest in silent awareness, or use any method that helps you transcend the thinking mind and access the peace within. The benefits of regular meditation are cumulative and profound. Over time, you develop the ability to access inner peace more easily, even in challenging circumstances. You become less reactive, more centered, more capable of responding to life from wisdom rather than habitual patterns. Your intuition strengthens, your clarity increases, your sense of connection deepens. And these benefits extend beyond your meditation sessions into all areas of your life. Many people struggle with meditation because they expect instant results or perfect experiences. They sit down, their mind is busy. They judge themselves for not doing it right. They give up. Dresser encourages a gentler approach. Meditation isn't about achieving a special state or stopping all thoughts. It's simply about showing up, being willing to turn inward, allowing whatever arises. Some sessions will feel peaceful, others will be restless. And all of it is okay. All of it is part of the process. The transformation of work is another area where Dresser's teachings have practical application. Most people approach work as something they have to do, a necessary burden, a means to an end. They separate work from spirituality, treating career as mundane necessity and spiritual practice as something reserved for other times. This creates a divided life, a sense that you're not fully yourself in different contexts. an exhaustion that comes from not bringing your whole being to what you do. Dresser teaches that work can be a spiritual practice, an expression of your gifts, a way of serving and contributing, a context for growth and learning. When you bring silence, presence, and connection to your work, when you approach your tasks from your centered true self rather than from stress and resistance, everything shifts. Work becomes less draining, more fulfilling, more effective. You find creativity and solutions you couldn't access from a stressed state. You interact with colleagues from presence rather than reactivity. This doesn't mean every job is perfect or that you shouldn't pursue work that genuinely aligns with your values and interests. But wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing, you can practice bringing your whole self to it, approaching it as an opportunity to express your deeper nature rather than something to merely get through. The role of faith is central to Dresser's philosophy, but not faith in the conventional sense of believing doctrines or religious teachings. He's talking about experiential faith, the deep knowing that comes from direct connection with divine intelligence, the trust that develops through repeatedly entering silence and finding wisdom, peace, and guidance there. This faith isn't blind. It's based on your own lived experience of accessing something greater than your limited personal self. As you practice silence and experience its benefits, as you see how inner guidance leads to better outcomes than anxious control, as you witness synchronicities and unexpected help appearing when needed, faith naturally grows. You begin to trust the process even when you can't see the path ahead. You relax into not knowing because you have faith that what you need will be revealed when you need it. You stop demanding guarantees before you take steps forward because you trust that you're guided and supported. This faith doesn't make life problem-free or protect you from challenges, but it gives you an unshakable foundation, a deep sense that ultimately you're okay, that there's meaning and purpose in your journey even when you can't see it, that you're held by something larger than yourself. The integration of spiritual practice with daily life is crucial. Dresser isn't suggesting you retreat from the world or spend all your time in meditation. He's teaching you how to bring the peace, wisdom, and connection you access in silence into all your activities, relationships, and responsibilities. This is about transformation of your entire life, not escape from it. You practice silence, you connect with your deeper self, and then you bring that presence into your day. You pause before reacting. You check in with your inner guidance before making decisions. You notice when you're getting caught up in old patterns and gently return to center. You practice being fully present with whoever you're with, really listening, really seeing them. You approach each task with attention and care, finding meaning in ordinary activities. This moment-to-moment practice, this consistent returning to presence, to silence, to your true self. This is how transformation happens, not through one dramatic experience, but through thousands of small choices to live differently, to respond rather than react, to align with your deeper nature rather than your conditioned patterns. The teaching on abundance is particularly relevant in a world where many people struggle with scarcity consciousness. When you believe resources are limited, that there's not enough, that you have to fight for your share, you live in constant anxiety about lack. You grasp, you hoard, you compete, and paradoxically, this mindset often creates the very scarcity you fear. Dresser teaches that the universe is abundant, that the divine intelligence that creates galaxies and orchestrates nature's endless creativity is not limited in its capacity to provide for you. But to access this abundance, you must first connect with the abundance within you, the richness of your being, the infinite creative potential you carry. When you know yourself as already complete, already rich in what matters most, you stop operating from lack, and abundance begins to flow into your life in tangible ways. This isn't magical thinking that denies practical reality. You still need to take action, make wise choices, work toward goals. But when you operate from inner abundance rather than scarcity, your actions are more effective. Your creativity is unleashed. Opportunities appear that you were blind to before, and you find yourself receiving help and resources in surprising ways. The power of intention is another key principle. When you're clear about what you want to create, when you hold this intention consciously while staying connected to your spiritual center, when you combine clear desire with trust in divine timing and wisdom, you activate powerful creative forces. Your intention focuses your attention, and where your attention goes, energy flows. You begin to notice opportunities relevant to your intention. You take actions aligned with it. You attract people and resources that support it. But Dresser emphasizes the importance of holding intentions lightly, without desperate attachment. The energy of desperation repels what you desire, while the energy of confident intention attracts it. This is the balance of caring deeply about what you want, while simultaneously trusting that your well-being doesn't depend on getting exactly what you think you need in exactly the timeline you prefer. It's being clear and committed while remaining open and flexible. The transformation of the body through consciousness is fascinating territory. Your body responds to your mental and emotional states in ways that science is only beginning to fully understand. Chronic stress creates inflammatory chemicals that damage tissue. Negative emotions suppress immune function. Anxiety disrupts digestion, sleep, and healing. Conversely, states of peace, gratitude, and love support health, activate healing mechanisms, and contribute to vitality and longevity. By practicing silence and maintaining connection to your spiritual center, by choosing thoughts and emotional states that serve your well-being, by treating your body as the sacred temple it is, rather than a machine to be exploited, you support your physical health profoundly. This isn't instead of practical health practices like good nutrition, movement, and rest. It's in addition to them, addressing the dimension that conventional approaches often miss. The question of service naturally arises as you deepen your spiritual practice. when you're connected to the oneness of all life. When you experience yourself as an expression of divine intelligence, when you're filled with the peace and love that flows from your spiritual center, you naturally want to share these gifts. Service stops being an obligation or a way to earn worthiness and becomes a joyful expression of your true nature. This service takes countless forms. There's no single way you should serve. For some, it's through their work. For others, through family care. For others, through creative expression or volunteer activities, or simply by being a presence of peace and kindness wherever they go. The key is that genuine service flows from fullness, not emptiness. From joy, not duty. From your gifts, not from forcing yourself to be someone you're not. As we near the conclusion of this exploration, it's important to remember that everything we've discussed isn't just philosophical theory. It's practical guidance for transforming your actual lived experience. The power of silence isn't something to understand intellectually. It's something to practice, to experience, to integrate into your daily life. The teachings work, but only if you work with them, only if you make the commitment to turn inward regularly, to prioritize your spiritual development, to apply these principles consistently. This requires dedication. In our modern world, with its constant distractions and demands, carving out time for silence, for meditation, for inner connection requires intention and discipline. You'll face resistance, both internal resistance from your conditioned patterns that prefer familiar suffering to unknown transformation, and external resistance from a culture that values doing over being, noise over silence, material success over inner peace. But the rewards are immeasurable. As you deepen your practice, as silence becomes a natural part of your life, rather than something you occasionally do, you'll find yourself becoming someone you hardly recognize, more peaceful, more joyful, more creative, more loving, more authentic. Problems that used to overwhelm you become manageable. Circumstances that used to trigger intense reactions barely register. You find yourself naturally responding with wisdom and grace, where you used to react with fear and defensiveness. Your relationships deepen and heal. Your health improves. Your work becomes more fulfilling and effective. You sleep better, worry less, enjoy more, appreciate more, love more freely. You discover capacities you didn't know you had, talents that were buried beneath fear and conditioning, possibilities that were invisible when you were lost in mental noise. And perhaps most importantly, you find meaning. In a world where so many people feel lost, disconnected, uncertain about their purpose, the practice of silence connects you to a deep sense of meaning that doesn't depend on external validation or achievement. You know why you're here. You feel your connection to the larger whole. You understand that your life matters not because of what you accomplish, but because of what you are. A unique expression of the infinite. A vessel through which divine love and wisdom can flow into the world. The journey into silence is not always easy, and Dresser is honest about this. You'll encounter what he calls the resistance of the false self. Those parts of you that are invested in old patterns, that fear change even when change would bring liberation. You'll face moments of doubt, wondering if any of this is real or if you're just fooling yourself. You'll have meditation sessions where your mind seems busier than ever, days when you feel disconnected and lost, times when old patterns resurface with surprising force. These challenges are not signs of failure. They are part of the process. Growth isn't linear. Healing isn't instant. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. There will be breakthroughs and setbacks, moments of profound clarity, and periods of confusion. The key is to remain committed, to keep showing up, to be gentle with yourself through the difficult phases, to trust that even when you can't see progress, change is happening at deeper levels. Remember that your conditioned patterns were formed over years, even decades. They won't dissolve after a few meditation sessions, but with consistent practice, with patient persistence, with compassion for yourself through the process, they will gradually lose their grip. New patterns will form, patterns aligned with your true nature, patterns that serve your highest good and the good of all. The role of community can be valuable on this journey. While the essential work of turning inward is something only you can do, connecting with others who are on a similar path provides support, encouragement, and inspiration. You realize you're not alone in your struggles. You learn from others' experiences and insights. You're reminded to keep practicing when your own motivation wanes. Whether through formal spiritual communities, informal gatherings of like-minded people, or even online connections, finding your tribe matters. At the same time, Dresser warns against becoming dependent on external teachers or giving your power away to authorities. The ultimate teacher lives within you, the divine intelligence that you access in silence. External teachers, books, communities, these can all point you in the right direction, offer helpful techniques, provide inspiration and support. But the real wisdom, the real transformation, the real knowing comes from your direct experience of connecting with your spiritual essence. Trust your own inner guidance, even when it contradicts what others say you should do. Develop the ability to discern what's true for you, what resonates with your soul, rather than just your conditioned mind. This discernment itself grows through the practice of silence. As you learn to distinguish between the voice of your ego and the whisper of your deeper self, between fear-based thoughts and intuitive knowing, between shoulds imposed from outside and genuine inner calling. The practice of gratitude deserves deeper exploration because it's such a powerful, transformative force. When you're genuinely grateful, when you appreciate what you have, rather than constantly focusing on what's missing, something shifts in your energy, in your vibration, in how you show up in the world. Gratitude opens your heart, connects you to the present moment, reminds you of the countless blessings that exist even in difficult times. Make gratitude a daily practice, not just thinking thankful thoughts, but really feeling appreciation in your body, in your heart. In silence, bring to mind things you're grateful for. Allow yourself to fully experience the feeling of gratitude for your life, your breath, your senses, the people you love, the opportunities you have, the beauty that surrounds you. This practice doesn't deny challenges or pretend everything is perfect. It simply shifts your focus to include the good that's already present. The relationship between action and surrender is subtle and often misunderstood. Some people hear teachings about surrender and trust and interpret them as meaning they should be passive. Just wait for things to happen. Avoid taking action till they receive some clear cosmic sign. Others go to the opposite extreme, believing everything depends entirely on their effort, trying to force outcomes through sheer will, exhausting themselves with constant striving. The middle way, the balanced approach Dresser teaches, involves inspired action combined with surrender to outcomes. You tune into your inner guidance in silence. You sense what actions to take, what steps feel right, what direction to move, and then you act with full commitment and energy. But having acted, you release attachment to specific results, trusting that outcomes will unfold as they're meant to, potentially in ways better than you imagined. This approach keeps you from the paralysis of waiting passively and the exhaustion of forcing things. You're actively engaged with life, taking steps, making choices, putting forth effort. But you're doing so from a place of trust rather than anxiety, from inspiration rather than desperation, from flow rather than force. Your relationship with time itself transforms through this practice. Most people are either racing against time, feeling there's never enough, desperately trying to do more faster, or they're killing time, wishing their lives away, waiting for some future moment when things will finally be better. Both of these relationships with time create suffering and prevent you from being fully alive. In silence, in presence, you discover the eternal now, the timeless dimension of your being. You realize that clock time, while necessary for practical functioning, is not the deepest reality. There's a dimension where past and future don't exist, where everything is here now, where you're complete and whole and free. And when you touch this dimension regularly through your practice, your experience of time in daily life becomes less pressured, less stressful. You have time for what truly matters because you're not wasting energy fighting against time or wishing it away. The healing of family wounds is profound work that often emerges as you deepen your practice. Most people carry patterns, beliefs, and wounds from their family of origin, things they absorbed before they had any ability to question or resist. These early patterns shape how you see yourself, how you relate to others, what you believe is possible for you, what you think you deserve. In silence, as you connect with your true self, you begin to see these patterns clearly, to recognize them as conditioning rather than truth, to understand that you're not doomed to repeat them. You can choose differently, respond differently, create different outcomes. And this often involves grieving what you didn't receive, forgiving those who hurt you, accepting your family members as they are, rather than who you wish they were, and ultimately releasing the grip the past has on your present. This doesn't mean you're responsible for your family's healing or that you need to maintain relationships that are harmful. It means you heal your side of things, you release the emotional charge, you stop letting old wounds dictate your current choices. And sometimes, as you change, family relationships shift in surprising ways. Other times, you simply find peace with what was and move forward more freely. The recognition of perfection in the present moment is a profound teaching that seems paradoxical at first. How can this moment be perfect when there are problems, when things are hard, when you're struggling? But Dresser isn't talking about perfection in the sense of nothing needing to change or improve. He's pointing to the inherent wholeness of what is, the fact that this moment contains everything necessary for your growth, your learning, your evolution. When you stop fighting against reality, when you accept what is without resistance while still taking action to create positive change, you discover an underlying okayness, a fundamental rightness to existence, even with all its challenges. This doesn't make you complacent or passive. It actually frees you to be more effective because you're not wasting energy in futile resistance. The opening of your heart is perhaps the most significant transformation that occurs through this practice. Most people live with defended hearts, protected by walls built from past hurts, fears of vulnerability, judgments, and criticisms that keep others at a distance. These walls feel like protection, but they're actually prisons, keeping you isolated, unable to give or receive love fully, missing the richness of genuine connection. As you practice silence and connect with the love that is your essential nature, these walls begin to soften. You find yourself able to be more vulnerable, more open, more willing to let people in. You discover that true strength isn't found in defensiveness, but in the courage to remain open even when it's scary, to love even knowing you might be hurt, to see the humanity in others even when they're difficult. This open-hearted way of being transforms every relationship and attracts more love into your life. People feel safe with you because you're not judging them. They feel seen by you because you're truly present. They're drawn to the peace and authenticity that radiates from you, and you find yourself able to love more freely, more generously, more unconditionally than you ever thought possible. The practice of blessing, of wishing well to others, of sending positive energy out into the world is a simple but powerful tool. In your times of silence, you can bring to mind people in your life, even those you have difficulty with, and silently bless them, wish them peace, hope for their happiness. This practice isn't about them receiving anything necessarily, though energetically it may have impact. It's about training your heart in compassion, dissolving resentment, expanding your capacity to love. You can extend this blessing to strangers, to whole communities, to all of life. You can bless the earth, the animals, the plants. You can send goodwill to those who are suffering, to those who are causing suffering, to all beings everywhere. This practice connects you to the oneness of life, reminds you that you're not separate, fills your heart with warmth and compassion that benefits you as much as anyone else. As your practice matures, you may experience what Dresser describes as moments of illumination, direct experiences of your divine nature, glimpses beyond the veil of ordinary consciousness into the truth of what you are. These experiences are precious and transformative, confirming what you've been learning intellectually as lived reality. But Dresser cautions against becoming attached to special experiences or judging your practice by whether they occur. The point isn't to chase extraordinary states, but to deepen your everyday connection to your spiritual essence, to bring more presence, peace, and wisdom into ordinary life. Special experiences may come, or they may not, and both are fine. What matters is the gradual transformation of your character, your relationships, your way of being in the world. What matters is that you're becoming more of who you truly are, living more authentically, expressing your gifts more fully, serving more freely. The question of suffering in the world, the existence of injustice, violence, poverty, and pain troubles many people on the spiritual path. How can you talk about inner peace when the world is filled with such suffering? Isn't focusing on your inner life just selfish escapism when others need help? Dresser addresses this directly. The most powerful contribution you can make to the world is to be connected to your spiritual center, to be a presence of peace and wisdom and love. When you're operating from your small separate self, from your wounds and fears and limitations, you have little to offer others except your own dysfunction. But when you're connected to the divine intelligence within you, when you're aligned with your highest nature, you become a channel for healing, for positive change, for genuine service. The world doesn't need more anxious, wounded people trying to fix things from a place of their own brokenness. The world needs people who have done their inner work, who have found peace within themselves, who can bring clarity and compassion to challenging situations. Your inner peace directly impacts everyone you encounter, rippling out in ways you may never see, but that matter profoundly. This doesn't mean ignoring the world's problems or refusing to take action for justice and healing. It means taking that action from a place of inner wholeness rather than reactivity, from love rather than hate, from wisdom rather than righteousness. It means being part of the solution rather than adding more fear and division to problems. Now, as we come toward the end of this journey through Dresser's profound teachings, I want to remind you that everything we've explored is available to you right now. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances. You don't need special training or credentials. You don't need to become someone different than who you are. The power of silence, the divine intelligence within you, the peace that surpasses understanding. All of this is your birthright, your essential nature. waiting for you to turn inward and discover it. The practice is simple. Create time for silence. Turn your attention inward. Allow yourself to rest in the present moment. Connect with the peace and wisdom within you. Do this regularly, consistently, patiently, and then bring what you discover in silence into your daily life. Moment by moment, choosing presence over distraction, wisdom over reactivity, love over fear. The journey is lifelong. There's no final destination where you arrive and never have to practice again. But each step brings rewards. Each choice to return to your center deepens your connection. Each moment of presence enriches your life. And gradually, so gradually, you might not notice until you look back, you become someone transformed, living from your true nature, expressing your authentic self, contributing your unique gifts to the world. This is the power of silence that Dresser discovered and shared. This is the invitation he extends to all who will listen. Come home to yourself. Connect with the divine intelligence within you. Discover the peace and wisdom and love that you are. And let this inner connection transform every aspect of your life. The world needs what you have to offer when you're living from your spiritual center, when you're aligned with your deepest truth, when you're expressing your authentic nature. Not the small, defended self trying to prove its worth, but the expansive, true self that knows itself as one with all life, that serves from joy rather than obligation, that loves freely and wisely. So begin today, right now, with a simple moment of silence. Close your eyes if you're able. Take a deep breath and turn your attention inward. Notice the awareness that's reading these words, that's been present through this entire exploration. Rest in that awareness for just a moment, that's all. Just one moment of conscious connection with your inner presence. And then bring that presence into your next activity, your next conversation, your next decision. Practice this over and over, thousands of times, gradually training yourself to live from your center rather than from your conditioned patterns. This is how transformation happens. This is how you access the power of silence. This is how you become who you truly are. The journey is calling you. The path is open. The power is within you. All that's required is your willingness to turn inward, to practice consistently, to trust the process even when you can't see immediate results. Your life is waiting to be transformed. Your gifts are waiting to be expressed. Your true self is waiting to emerge, and it all begins with silence. Before we close, I want to ask you something important. If this exploration has touched you, if these teachings resonate with something deep within you, if you've felt even a spark of recognition or inspiration, please consider liking this content and subscribing to Audiobook Library. Your support helps this channel grow, helps these transformative teachings reach more people who need them. helps create a community of seekers who are committed to inner growth and spiritual development. Every like, every subscription, every share sends these ideas further into the world, creating ripples of positive change that extend far beyond what we can see. You become part of something larger, part of a movement toward greater consciousness, greater peace, greater love in our world. And that matters. Your participation matters. Your support makes a real difference. So please, take just a moment to hit that like button, to subscribe to Audiobook Library, to share this with someone who might benefit from hearing it. Together, we can create a community of people who are committed to living from their spiritual center, to expressing their authentic nature, to contributing their gifts to the world's healing and awakening. Thank you for taking this journey through the power of silence with me. Thank you for being open to these teachings, for considering their application in your own life, for being willing to turn inward and discover what awaits you there. May you find the peace, wisdom, and love that is your true nature. May you live from your spiritual center with increasing consistency. May you express your authentic gifts freely and joyfully. And may your life be a blessing to all you encounter. The power is within you. The path is clear. The invitation is extended. Now it's up to you to take the next step, to create time for silence, to begin the practice that will transform your life from the inside out. Start today. Start now. Start with this next moment. Turn inward. Find your center. Connect with the divine intelligence within you, and let your life unfold from that sacred space. Your journey awaits, and it begins in silence.